Welcome to the Infill Podcast, where we interview the most interesting members of the 3D printing and maker communities, live and with audience participation. And now, here is your host, Jonathan Levy.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to our latest podcast episode. I know it's been quite some time since we did an episode. I've been so thick in the weeds of a few projects, one of which we're going to talk about today. I'm joined today by someone you all know as Dendrauen, but his real name is Sjon. Sjon. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. He's an IT lecturer from the Netherlands, best known for creating the Blob of Fire upgrade for the ERCF, the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder. But we're going to talk about a whole lot more than that in this episode. We're going to talk about his path into 3D printing, about multicolor 3D printing, about the future of 3D printing, and a lot of the efforts that he's making in the Netherlands to expose young people to 3D printing. Sjon, welcome. How are you? Oh no, did you freeze? Uh-oh, I think we lost him. Oh no. I think we may have lost him, guys. Well, while we're waiting for him to join back in, I'll talk a little bit about the ERCF and about Blob of Fire. So for those of you who don't know, the ERCF is a multiplexer, which is fully open source for Voron 3D printers. Allows you to switch between 4, 12 colors, whatever it may be, however many you want to build. I'm telling him in the chat, I'm keeping them entertained. That's really funny. Now you know that we do this show live. And let me know questions, by the way, about the ERCF. I did put out a video last week getting it to work, and I now have it actually properly working, which is very exciting. So what Dendrauen has done, what Sjon has done, is he's made a upgrade that instead of purging the filament into a purge block, you can purge it into little blobs or little poops. K2 Kevin, catching this live feels like waking up early enough for McDonald's breakfast in college. What time does McDonald's stop serving breakfast? Because I didn't know that was a thing. So Dendrauen has made this thing where it like makes little filament poops, okay, blobs. Then they look like little poop emojis. And then it flicks them off to the side, which is crazy. ERCF showcase video. You know, I'm not sure that I'm going to do an ERCF showcase video because the last video I did totally bombed. And it gave me the impression that people saw the first video and were like, nope, never going to do it. And then just didn't want to watch any more videos about it. But do let me know questions or things you would want to know in a video. I can answer them here or... yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
I'm not sure what's going on, but
let's see how far we get. So welcome. Hi. I've been keeping everyone very entertained. Drop a like if you guys have been entertained by me. 15 minutes of blabbering. So Sjon, tell us a little bit about yourself. See, it's been a long time since I read the intro.
Yeah, everyone's been waiting. I get that. Yeah. My name is Sjon. I'm from the Netherlands, and I have a wife and 2 kids. And I teach in IT, mainly software engineering, at a University of Applied Science. And yeah, I got into 3D printing when we started with a group of friends. We wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I had the brilliant idea of getting a 3D printer as a group to print all the miniatures because that would save a lot of money. The friends didn't really agree to do it together, but if I wanted to do, then go ahead. And then my wife was like, well, then why won't you just do it? And at that point, I had the wife approval, so it would be an idiot.
I think the wife is in the chat as well, so you can say hi to her.
Yeah, that's her.
Hi, wife. Thank you for the wife approval. The whole community is richer for it. Yeah.
And my kids are watching as well, probably. But
cool.
So yeah, I got that way I got into 3D printing. I bought an ANET A6, an actual fire hazard,
Yeah.
from acrylic and whatnot. But it worked kind of. And at that point, a few year later, I got bored with the printer, and I wanted to get more out of it. But
Hmm.
all I could get out of it was okay prints. And then there was this guy, I believe is Tech2C, not sure. But he has a YouTube channel and came up with a hypercube. So I decided to build that and use the parts of my ANET to assemble that printer. And a few years later, I got into Voron and I built a Voron V0 first. And later on, my hypercube died, and I turned that one into a Voron V2.
Awesome. Okay, so uh, I don't know how much I can ask about your day job, but I know you're a IT lecturer. I want to
Yeah.
understand, what that means. Usually, when I think of IT, I think of like fixing routers and stuff, which clearly, no offense, is not your specialty. But what does that mean, and how did that give you a leg up into sorry, not entrepreneurship, into the engineering aspect of 3D printing? Because as we'll get into, you're clearly very good at designing things and creating things.
Well, I consider myself kind of a maker. I didn't get into IT at first. I was into construction
Okay.
when I started middle school, and it turned out that wasn't really my thing. So I tried IT, and it really clicked.
Hmm.
But yeah, with construction, you make things. In IT, you can make things, and I don't really consider myself a software engineer or a construction worker or anything, but just more of a generic maker. My
Okay.
knowledge and know-how is pretty broad, but isn't very deep.
Okay. I guess maybe it has something to do. I think it's a cultural difference because to me, IT literally means like fixing the network, which is ironic. And I think to you, what IT means is just all kinds of technology.
Yeah. It's ICT, information communication technology, and yeah, that includes software engineering,
Right.
even UX design is a very important aspect of it.
Okay. So, what kind of technology specifically do you lecture about? Um,
I have taught for first years about networks,
oh
introduction to
man.
networks.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then it's good you have other skills. I'm just teasing you. So, were you hooked on 3D
And
printing like
programming
very
languages
quickly?
like Java.
Oh, I lost you for a
Uh,
second.
yeah, it kind of got me. Yeah, are we back again?
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, I got into 3D printing pretty rapidly. I had the ANET, and there were a lot of improvements to be made on the ANET A6, and I printed those, of course, because yeah, print printers, and it, yeah, the whole idea of making the product better and improving it just yeah got me yeah it hooked me up.
Yeah.
And at some point, you want to make improvements, but there's no one that made the improvement,
Hmm.
and you think of some things, and you want to make something yourself, and it isn't there.
Right.
But yeah, in the end, you'll have to start designing something. You'll have to start
Yeah.
modeling your own stuff. And as a software engineer, the most logical step is OpenSCAD, where you can create 3D models by
Right.
using programming. And yeah, of course, I like that a lot. I tried Fusion 360 a couple times, but couldn't really get the hang of it. Didn't really click up until I made the Blob of Fire, which I first made in OpenSCAD, and then I
No
wanted to
kidding.
share the project with other members and from the community to let them make improvements or adjustments for their specific needs.
Huh.
And OpenSCAD can't export step files, so I had to do something else. I had to make it in something else. And
Right.
as a teacher, I get completely free access to Fusion 360.
Ah, cool.
So
That's really
that
cool.
was, for me, it was a logical step.
So I
And I
guess
and I
we'll
really
go into the ERCF and Blobifier a little bit. I tried to explain to the audience while we were waiting for you to rejoin, but I think we're probably going to cut a lot of my blabbing. So let's talk about Blobifier. ERCF, as people probably know, is this multiplexer, now on version 2, open source, multi-filament, multicolor system that allows you to put it on any printer you want running Clipper. You, I guess, built the original ERCF. Walk me through that story, right? Of like the genesis of this idea, and then we'll get into what Blobifier is and maybe some of the other challenges that are still facing ERCF.
At first, I always thought that multicolor 3D printing wouldn't be a thing and wouldn't be feasible. So I just skipped the entire idea. But in the end, I did think, well, it's not that expensive to build. It's pretty cheap to build. It just takes a lot of time. So why not do it? Then at the very least, I can sit on my couch and start a print in whatever color I want without needing to change filaments. The system can do that. So I built it, and I did build it with some improvements, like the 2020 extrusion. The ERCF at first was quite a flimsy. The version 1 was quite a flimsy construction, and with that extrusion added, the sturdy body, I think it's called. It became quite a lot more sturdy and reliable.
Right.
So I built that and just had it finished, and of course, V2 comes out.
Same.
You always see. So I did manage to reprint some stuff for the V2. I haven't implemented it all because I did want to keep the 12 card system and didn't want to go back to 9 or 10 cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously you felt something was missing. Walk me through that kind of thought process.
Yeah. I at first I had trouble with chip tuning, which everyone has, I guess. But quickly found out you should be using filametrics for that, where you cut the filament before retracting.
Right.
But then you've got a lot of waste, and the purge block was getting quite large, especially if you wanted to print something with 10 colors. It took quite a lot of space up on the bed, and even if you had a few layers where you didn't change anything, you'd still have to print a layer, and even that thing had to be tuned. I mean, you couldn't have too much filament coming out, because then the purge tower would all get blobs and artifacts on it, which infected your actual print.
Right.
And I didn't want that. I thought there should be a better system. And of course, we had the Bambu Lab printer where it just poops out these strings. But thinking of the Voron V2, which I have, I didn't really think that would be a great option, because where would you leave all the poops in that regard? Where would you put them? 5-6 swaps in, and you should be cleaning them out, because they can interfere with your print.
Right.
And then I went to search for another system, and the systems I found were very complicated. A lot of moving parts, high up, or had to be tuned to perfection because you had to print a line somewhere. Didn't like those either, and I was thinking and eventually came up with the idea, that's the CNC Kitchen method. He has CNC Kitchen on the YouTube channel has this test method to check if you can purge, if for your flow test, if your hot end can keep up and your extruding can keep up, and that got me thinking. We could use that for waste. It would take up a lot of less space, and that's where the idea started, really.
I actually didn't make that connection that those are the same blobs, the little poops, and they're really poops. The bamboo ones are like little spirals. Yours are like little Hershey drops. So let me make sure I understand. I mean, I understand because I asked you this directly over the chat, but the idea behind Blobifier is two benefits, right? One is it's faster to extrude a blob than it is to print an entire Purge Tower. And the second one is the Purge Tower, you have to keep going up. So if you have, 50 layers without a color change, you're still printing. You told me, when we were kind of messaging, that someone had calculated, on your average print, obviously it's going to be negligible if every layer has color changes, but on your average print, that how much time and how much filament does this save? Because I think the big thing that matters to people with multicolor printing is time and waste.
Yeah, that's probably the most time consuming. In your latest video, you mentioned that the Bamboo Lab takes 2.5 minutes to swap filaments,
Yep.
and you got your system down to a whopping 75 seconds.
It's
And I've
57, which
57, sorry, 57 seconds. And I've thought, well, what are my times then? So I went on and checked it, but including the purge, I'm down to 41 seconds.
wow. I think
So
mine
yeah,
included the purge as well. I'm not sure why mine is. I mean, I'm not sure why yours isn't faster. Is your Bowden tube very long?
no. I've got the printer set up where the ERCF faces the printer from the side,
Hmm.
and it pokes through the side panel.
I guess then again,
So
what did you
80
say?
centimeters.
40 something seconds? That's like 20,
Yeah,
25%. Wow. Ivan
yeah.
had told me that before he changed his setup, that he got swaps down to 12 seconds, but that doesn't include the Purge Tower.
Yeah. And my I have it right here, but my oh no, I don't. Got no internet, so I can't reach my printer.
You're on Wi-Fi.
I'm on my hotspot. Yeah.
Well, it works really well.
But
Credit goes to the infrastructure over there.
yeah, that's pretty decent in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So no, I've got a swap down to I think 24, 25 seconds. But
Wow.
I think even with the latest software, Mogic is busy rebuilding some of the core of the system
Right.
and which resulted in smoother motion,
Right.
quieter operation of the ERCF, and with quieter and operation and smoother motion comes the benefit of
Right.
maybe increasing the speed a bit.
And you had told me that it can save around 30 to 35%, I think, of filament wasted.
Yeah, that's that. I haven't tested it myself, but that's the someone did test it with a multicolor print, and he
Interesting.
indeed saved around 30-35% of
Interesting.
filament.
I mean, I'm already blown away by the ERCF, how little I need to waste
Yeah,
because of that pulling back. I think, though, two things. One, I think now Orca Slicer allows you to retract before cutting on bamboo printers. Because it was only a matter of time before bamboo or someone else catches up to that idea. A good idea is a good idea. And I can tell you, bamboo, I mean, if you've ever changed a nozzle on a bamboo printer, I don't know if you have any of them, you know that the whole nozzle is full of plastic, right? And it's like that much. And you really only need to lose that much.
yeah.
And then the second thing someone had told me, or I had seen, was there is a new feature in Orca Slicer for the wipe tower. I thought this would be interesting to discuss with you. Let me see what it's called. There's a new beta feature, and it literally says beta. Let's see, where's the prime tower? Maybe I didn't see it. I saw something where it was like, no, do the prime tower, but without the middle layers. Let me see if I can find it. Enable prime
Oh,
tower.
it drops down. Yeah. It's been in beta for quite a while, actually, but it's still in beta, and I did have some problems. But even then, you've got to drop down to your purge tower, and that's
So
not always possible.
so no sparse layers doesn't
Yeah,
mean what I think it's going to mean. It means the print head goes down and just purges on the prime tower wherever it is.
yeah. I think so. I have tried it once,
Ah,
but I experienced some issues
Okay. Because I thought,
before
and
before Blob
here's
of
an
Fire.
idea. I know you're a master of macros. I thought, um, maybe I'm going to sound stupid, but I think this is an interesting idea. Who cares what the prime tower looks like, right? You don't actually need to fill in the lines for bridging. If you just do a perimeter, you can purge in the middle, and you know what I'm saying? You do a perimeter and you're basically making your own basket for the blobs or purges.
Yeah,
It's kind of an interesting idea, right?
yeah, could be.
Like you just go,
Those,
I mean, shoot holes in it if you have an idea, but like say this is the purge tower. I don't have anything rectangular. Okay. This is the purge tower, right? All I need is just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold in the middle, purge, and on its way out, it's gonna wipe the nozzle on.
yeah, but is that outer perimeter strong enough to take multiple wipes?
Well, but it wouldn't have to. It would only need to take one per. I mean, it's only going to be a wipe. The nozzle's not going to touch it. Only the very, very, the filament is going to be broken off on the inside. It's going to be like a hair. Have you ever had one piece of a print fail and then it just brings the hairs and attaches them to the print? Same idea. And it's only going to be one for each layer. And I guess what you could do is you could stagger them in the G code. So it goes all the way, it exits the perimeter here on this layer, then there, then there, then there, then there, and you just get lines of hairs. The question is it going to actually be faster than just doing the blobs, Z height?
I don't. The biggest problem right now with the Blob of Fire is that you have to. The print head needs to go down,
Yeah.
and that takes time. But I didn't figure it'd be a big issue with the Blob of Fire on the V2 because the V2 can go down pretty quickly back up.
Yeah. Jacques has a really interesting idea. You do the poop inside first, and then the wipe is the perimeter, and then you continue. The only thing is, you'd have to figure out, because at some point that little bucket you printed is going to fill up. And I don't know how you would calculate it in G code, like how much space that's going to take. I have concerns about the blobs for filament recycling because it's really hard to grind solid pieces of. I mean, this is why I'm not using Blob of Fire, because I'm, as you know, recycling my filament. And any solid, especially if it's like a little ball, is going to get stuck in the blades. So it's actually better for me to just print the prime tower and then shred that whole thing. And the other concern I wanted to ask you is like, isn't there added complexity, more mechanical parts, right? Because I think you have a spring, you have a servo. I'm going to pull up just as we talk about it.
Just a servo.
It's just a servo. Let me pull it up and we can talk about like the design process.
And there is a switch in there, but that switch is just to detect if the bucket is in place or not. So it's not really necessary for the function.
Okay, let's see. So here's Blob of Fire for those who don't know. Again, am I going to dox myself? Of course, I'm going to show something that's not what I wanted to show. All right, cool. So Blob of Fire, it's a bucket that sits outside the 3D printer. The blobs go down a chute and out the printer, right? Which means you're, I guess, cutting a hole in the acrylic.
Yeah, that's the someone made a refinement of the Blob of Fire, and he has a bucket outside of the printer. With
So
me, the bucket is
beneath,
under the bed.
Yours is under the bed. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then basically, it's got a little servo. I guess I don't understand what all the pieces are. Like the box with the micro switch and the little like blue lever on top with the USB-C on top. What does that do?
That's the slot where the servo catches on and insert and retracts the tray.
Got it. Hold on, I want to show people how this works. For those watching the video, and for those listening to the audio, shame on you. You should have tuned in live to the video. Just kidding. But of course, as you can see, I've limited myself on YouTube. I just think it's going to be helpful for people to understand how this thing works. And I have to 50 times do ignore limit, ignore limit, ignore limit. I try to limit my time on distracting websites. In any case, I guess we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Because it's not letting me.
But yeah, essentially it's a tray which shoots out, gets a blob, retracts, the tool head goes down, and the tray
Right.
cuts off the blob,
Right.
and
Here, now
the
it should let me
blob
show.
just falls in the bucket beneath it.
So it goes here into the corner. By the way,
Yeah, that's
my browser is on 2x speed, so it's not actually this fast. I don't think. It's full speed. And it comes up. Okay, what was the little back and forth white thing that it does?
yeah, right. Um, the original idea came. I had a basis that it was based off of the brush and the buckets that were with the brush. So someone made.
Got it.
I don't know his name anymore, but it's on the kit. And I thought, well, the bucket could be bigger, could be beneath the bed. Why such a small bucket? I mean, I
Yeah.
get it for if you're only purging at the start of your print, then every 4 or 5 prints you just empty the bucket. But I wanted it to be bigger. I wanted it
Right.
to hold more blobs, so that's why I increased the size quite a bit, and it's beneath the bed. But then you get a problem: the blobs get hooked into each other, they stack up, and
Right.
cause other problems. So the blobs inside of the bucket had to be dispersed somehow,
Yeah.
and I had some help on the Discord for the idea, and to make the bucket bottom the bottom of the bucket make it a pattern.
Got
That
it.
way the blobs don't are more easily dispersed. And I came up with the idea myself to shake it in some way.
Mm.
But how would you go about that? How would you do that? And then I just thought, well, why not try the ludicrous idea of using the toolhead to do that?
Right.
And to my surprise, it worked. So it
So
stuck.
you're really good at all the macro stuff and understanding Clipper macros. Obviously, to be able to do this, you had to remap entire macros. How did you get so good at that? And do you have tips? A lot of people like myself have, creative ideas for how we could improve our macros or get better at this. Do you have any tips or resources for better understanding? Because Clipper is this super powerful thing that you can literally, if you can write it, like that's all a tool changer is. Literally, it's just really good macros, and people are building amazing stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's well. It starts off, of course, with me being a software engineer,
sure.
well, teacher, but mainly in software engineering. So my basic knowledge on a lot of programming languages is pretty. If you go into more language specific things like lambda expressions in Python, that's not really my cup of tea. I can do it, but I'm not really proficient in it.
Mm-hmm.
But that has taught me this the job I has taught me to read code from other students and colleagues and quickly understand what's there.
Right. Right.
So pretty much the basic thing that I had, the experience that I had, and then reading macros, reading G code at first. I thought, well, I gotta understand some of it. It can't be that difficult. And then you learn that command G1 is just to do a move, and command I don't know from the top of my head. M400 M104 is for heating the bed.
Right.
I don't. The trick is, I guess, is that you notice it already. I don't know them from the top of my head. If I want to do something, I just Google it. How do I heat the bed? And well, not in that exact science, but the G code for heating a bed, and then it pops up, and I implement it. So the trickiest part is just figuring out how to do stuff, and not so much as knowing how to read or write macros.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, it's comforting to me to hear that you don't know this stuff off the top of your head. You're not just writing them. You're just like the rest of us searching. Someone said in chat, Chris C said, I use ChatGPT to write my macros. I tried that, but it makes so many mistakes and hallucinations.
Yeah, well, yeah, and software engineers won't be absolute due to ChatGPT, because if software engineers would be absolute due to ChatGPT, we first need users who
Right,
are able to specifically ask what they need. And we don't
right,
have them yet.
right, right. On the design side, I mean, you basically learned Fusion to do this, which kind of blows my mind. How long did it take to design this as a Fusion beginner?
Well, I had the design. I already had the design in OpenSCAD, so it was just a matter of copying it through to over to Fusion 360.
Got it.
And I had some help with some tutorials and some which tutorials are the good ones from the Discord community, and that helped me a lot. But how long did I take to design this? I think all in all, with all the tutorials combined, about 20, 30 hours, I guess. Wild
Wow.
guess.
That's wild. Now, I want to talk about your positive story about open source and getting support from people benefiting from your ideas. But first, I have to thank the people who benefit this channel, which is PCBWay. Let me pull up their website and we can talk about them. Have you ever used PCBWay, Sean, for prototyping?
Now their competitor,
Ah,
DLC PCB.
okay. Well, I use PCBWay and I highly recommend them. You know what's funny? I've never actually used them for PCBs. I've used them for CNC machining. I've used them for metal 3D printing. I've used them for all kinds of crazy stuff. And I highly recommend them. First off, they're wonderful people to work with. But also their pricing is crazy, like crazy affordable. Um, and they just have fantastic service, fantastic turnaround. I've had them CNC machine stainless steel for me, mild steel. I got some, do I have it here? 3D printed metal parts from them, which have just been totally awesome. You can see right here. What else? Yeah, and you know what else is cool? They have the marketplace, so you can look at other projects that people have uploaded, and you can just, so for example, if I wanted to have the parts 3D printed or CNC machined for a Voron part or an ERCF part, they can do it for me, and the original designer gets 10% of whatever whatever I order. So that's cool. Check them out with the link in the description or go to PCBWay.com. And thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring every episode of this podcast. Now, I had put out a video after interacting with you, interacting with Moggy and Nadir, who's also in the chat, and just kind of hearing from more and more of you, like, yeah, I wish I could do this full time. It just doesn't pay the bills. You reached out to some of the people selling kits for Blob of Fire. Tell me
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. I was kind of shocked to see that there were kits selling of the Blob of Fire on AliExpress. It kind of thrilled to see that, and shared it with some of the friends. And look, it's becoming a successful thing, and people are starting to use it. And well, couldn't for the life of me. Uh, I was surprised because I was out of the 3D printing community for a couple of months because I was ill and was reintegrating at work, so I busy with that. But I when I got back, Mogi also said, "Well, yeah, there are probably a couple of hundred people using the Blobifier now." And then I saw the kit, and I was thrilled. And a week after that, you published a video about open source being an awesome community, but yeah, the people that are doing it for free and in their free time and as a hobby,
Yeah,
and sometimes even getting uh, harassed about improvements that should be made or bugs that should be fixed,
right,
which I understand. But yeah, it's all in our free time, and we're giving it away for free.
right.
So we should be more obliged to ask for donations and stuff like that.
Totally.
And that got me thinking. To contact the seller of those kits and tell them I'm the designer of Blobifier and I'd like a cut. and they enrolled in the affiliate program for me, and I did it as well on AliExpress and got my own first ever affiliate link to a product. And now people are buying that Blobifier kit through my link quite a lot. I mean, can't live off it yet. Can't even sustain my hobby off of it yet, but it's something. It's more
And
than nothing.
people are like, because you got to imagine, like, ERCF is already so niche and not for everybody. So you can now see how many people are buying Blobifier now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think this month about 40, 50 people bought the kit, and that's yeah, it's a number I can't really fathom.
It's crazy to
it
me
was a
that
hobby
even
project
40,
of
50
myself.
people are buying ERCF after watching my struggle video. It blows my mind.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
good.
uh,
Whoops.
it's fun because it all started out to fix a problem I had for myself. So in essence, I don't everything that comes off of it is extra.
Yeah.
It's I fixed my problem, so I'm happy. I don't
And
feel the need
I
to make
totally
a lot of
commend
money
you
off of it.
for first off, you put it up at its open source and everything, and that's great. But I also commend you for going to the people who made it, who are making money off of it, and being like, hey, it's cool, it's open source, people can self-source, it's free, but if you guys are making money, then I should be making a cut of what you're making. It's only fair. Good for you. Like, that's exactly
Yeah,
what I was
thanks.
hoping to encourage in my videos. Like, I think some people in the community, again, we all have to respect the open source nature and the legacy, and that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. But also, we got to have a little more chutzpah and be like, yo, people are making money off something I created and giving me no attribution and no anything. Like, that's not the intent behind open source. And that's been kind of the
Yeah,
biggest reaction that I've gotten to the videos, is people just writing in and being like, yeah, open source doesn't mean free labor. That's not what it's supposed to mean, and we all need to remember that, you know?
yeah, exactly.
So that's cool. So let me ask, what's next, right? Like, you're obviously very involved in the ERCF team. I know you're not designing the next generation of what V3 is going to look like, but what do you think are some challenges that need to be fixed in ERCF? I just realized that this entire time I've been talking, people see only you. Hello. Hi, everyone. What do you think some other challenges that need to be fixed are?
Yeah, that's a real tough question. I think I think it's a really difficult question for me to answer because I'm always trying to test and find the limits, and trying to improve my own ecosystem as it is right now, and that introduces a lot of bugs and problems.
Right.
But that's kind of the name of the game, I guess. But that also means I don't really know what should be improved. They're now busy on reworking and rewriting some of the core of the Happy Hair software,
Yeah.
which brought a lot of improvement already, but it isn't really officially out yet because it's still in testing, and my printer has crashed a couple of times. But I don't mind that. It's for me it's an actual hobby, the 3D printing thing. I don't use my products. Don't use my 3D prints for production or anything. Of course, I print functional things, but yeah, if it fails, it fails, and I don't mind
Right.
because it's a process.
You don't have a video
So
deadline to get the thing out.
yeah, and I don't really like that pressure either. Um, I like to do things a lot, but if I want to be able to put it aside, to
Yeah.
stop doing it for a day, a week, a month,
Right.
and come back to it when I feel like, because it's a hobby, and the second you try to make a living off of it and you quit your day job to do this, it becomes. You're pressured into developing, into maintaining, into
Yes.
providing more and more.
That's been a challenge. I'll comment on that. That's been a challenge, but I think that's always been my approach. Like I had a business. I started when I was 16, like upgrading cars. Like this was in the heyday of car upgrades and mods and stuff. And it really like I still loved the stuff, but by after 7 years I was done. Like I didn't look at a car, especially the cars that we were working on, which were BMWs. I didn't look at a BMW for like 5 years after that, and it ruined the hobby. Here it's been different for me, like, and it really is like for me, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But I need to remember to make that switch in my mind of like there are some projects I do, some things I print that I very specifically am like, I'm not gonna film this. I'm not even gonna click the time lapse button. This is for me. This is Jonathan 3D printing as a hobby, or like, working on this Voron. Once I did the kind of minimum, my little V0, once I did the minimum to thank LDO for sending it and I did a review, every upgrade that I've done on it is just for me. I don't record it. I don't share it. I don't publish. I don't talk about it. This printer is just my hobby. And anything that I print for my kids is just me having fun with my kids. So you do need to be deliberate about like, and that was the problem with the ERCF build for me is it was very much content. Like I did this because there wasn't enough content. One of my goals for 2024 is highlighting more small open source projects and getting them more exposure, which is why I'm doing the tool changer from Nadir instead of the bigger, tool changer projects that are already out there and have exposure. So yeah, I have to be deliberate and take time, carve away time and be selfish and say, no, I'm not sharing this with anybody,
But that's not being selfish, is it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's being selfish as much as like, uh, what's the, like nurturing my own love for the hobby,
Yeah, well, you've got work and you've got to have some time for yourself. You
right.
have to.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like my work is what I love to do. Like my kids have been staying with their grandparents for the last couple of days, as has my wife. And I stayed back because I needed to record a video, and I just like it. I don't leave work, come home, and do my hobby. I just stayed at the office till 9 p.m. because I love playing with my 3D printers. It was at a certain point I turned off the camera and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna print some cool stuff for myself. But anyway,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did want to clarify, and I do think there's definitely something to be said about, you know, it's really awesome to turn your hobby into your job if you can make that separation. It sounds to me
Yeah.
like that's not something you're interested in, though. Like if you could design
I
stuff for the 3D printing community full time, you wouldn't want to.
No, I'd rather not. Also, selling 3D prints, I have done it. I have a good friend of mine. Sometimes has too much of a backlog of customers who want 3D prints, and he asks me for help because
Mm,
he's on an ancient Prusa MK3,
okay.
and can only print PLA and PETG, but sometimes he needs something in ABS, and then he'll contact me,
Yep.
which well is fine. And then sometimes I can print stuff for others, but I don't want to do that as a job because at first one it's not really profitable. I mean you can turn on your printer and
Right.
it'll generate around 3-4 euros an hour if you're lucky,
Right.
but that's about it. Due to the cost. And the same thing goes for modeling and improving the stuff. I like to do it, but it has to be a hobby. If at one point I don't want to do it, I don't feel like it, I wanna be able to stop. Same thing with the Happy Hair software. I did make some improvements. The table you showed in the video,
Yeah.
the table you get that, in Happy Hair, that's my doing.
Ah, cool.
Um, Mogi did invest a lot of time to perfect it, though, but yeah, the core of it was my idea, and
So then I'll
did
ask
make it.
you,
He did the work.
the swaps, the thing in the parentheses is successful swaps since last pause, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I asked
No,
I
no,
asked
that's the successful swaps in total is at the bottom right.
Yep.
and in the left top, that's the total amount of swaps you've done.
Yep.
And in
Ever.
the parentheses is the total amount of swaps this print.
Ah, okay. Interesting. That's really cool. That which reminds me, you probably have gotten your ERCF the most reliable of anyone I've seen, like 4,600 swaps. Uh, any tips on how you did that for anyone considering building an ERCF? Like what has been the
Yeah, well,
process?
the 4600 is the total amount of swaps, but I managed to get almost up to 1200 swaps once,
Incredible.
without any interruption, without any pause or anything.
Incredible.
Yeah, the only thing I can imagine what will work is don't try to find the limit. Don't try to find the limit of what your ESCF can do. If you're trying to feed the filament with 200 millimeters per second,
Mm,
because it can handle just that and not 220 or 250, then you're
I see.
pretty much on the limit, and it's bound to happen that it fails at some point. So go back to 100.
Right.
Then you'll get reliability.
That's an
Same
interesting.
with
So you sacrifice speed for reliability.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the same with a retraction of the filament before you cut it, before swapping.
Okay.
I've got a dragon hot end, dragon high flow hot end,
Yep.
and those are known there for some heat creep,
Yep.
and that causes problems if I pull it back too much. Not always, but it can cause problems. And I chose to pull it back only like 10, 15 millimeters, because that was the point where it was still reliable, and then push it back. So
Okay.
I have to purge quite a lot, but yeah, uh, it helps the reliability, and that's worth more for me than finding that limit. Of
I
course, you have
think
to
you're
find the
right.
limit to know where it is, but then you'll need to set a step back.
I think you're right. And I have, I want fast swaps. I think it also depends. Like I have so many multicolor printers now, some of which are extremely reliable. So maybe for me, what I actually want is faster swaps if I want to do quick, quick small multicolor prints that I don't want to take 12 hours for something this big. Um,
Yeah,
but you'd also said, which I think is interesting, that for you in the beginning, it was more about just not having to load filament manually, which I think is also a fine use of the ERCF. Even if you never do multicolor.
yeah. Well, in the end, of course, I print a lot of multicolor. I thought so. You had a Gridfinity bin. I've got this Gridfinity bins as well, and I
Oh,
print these in
nice.
multicolor with the labels on it.
Those look great.
And for different kind of screws, different kind of colors, and
Sure.
it, if 3D printing is the product you get with 3D printing can look very very nice, but they look more professional when they're in two colors.
Yeah. When
I mean, if
I,
you
I
go and get
keep
if
thinking
you go
about
and get a
this.
drill,
I had
yeah, if
Lars
you go and get
from
a drill at Home Depot or something,
right,
they're always in black and green or
right,
black and yellow or
right. I had Lars from Matter Hackers on, and he said something that at the time I thought was exaggerated, and I've come to agree with it. Where he's like, let's be honest, to non 3D printing people, if it's not multicolor, it's just more plastic junk. This is a terrible benchy because
yeah,
it's a speed benchy, but it's true. It's like even if it's naturally multicolor, this is another terrible print because I'm testing cooling. Even if it's kind of multicolor, it's just kind of plastic junk to some extent. I mean, unless it's a functional part, but if you're printing toys and stuff, and then you get like a good multicolor print, and this is like something that I cherish, and I don't let my kids play. I mean, they have one of their own, but I won't let my kids play with it because it's special to me. You know, they did play with it. You
yeah,
can see they broke it, and I glued it, melted it back together.
yeah. I
So
got two of those. I
they're
know
really
exactly
cool.
what you mean.
They're really cool. And
What you
especially
mean?
now, like now that I'm able to recycle filament, I'm feeling better about purging filament, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I get that.
So, so what do you print mostly? It sounds like a lot of functional parts. What's the last thing you printed?
Yeah, a lot of functional parts. I've got a whole IKEA drawer full of Gridfinity bins with all kind of screws, and
My
complete
man,
assortment.
that's what I'm looking for.
Um, I do some home automation, and in the home automation stuff, there's also devices I created myself and soldered myself.
Tell us
And
more. That's kind of
they
interesting.
need cases. Yeah, I run Home Assistant on a home server,
Me too.
and that's basically driving the entire house, the sunshade, the lights. It used to do the curtains, but the curtains broke down. Not my system. I made a system that automated the curtains, but the rails I was using for it broke down. So need to
Uh-huh.
improve that.
That's cool.
And yeah, all kind of automations to help with the household. To select tasks for today, which should be done, and the Home Assistant then asks ChatGPT for more, or OpenAI for more diverse dialogue, and plays it over the speakers, over the Google speakers inside my
Right.
house.
Very cool.
Ask me to close windows, open windows whenever needed for ventilation or just to cool the house down.
You have a request from the missus in the chat who said she's sad that the curtains don't work anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. She got
By the way, the
at
same thing
first.
happened to me. Same exact
At
thing.
first, it was nonsense.
Right.
At
At
first,
first it was
automated the curtains.
unnecessary, and now you have to have it. I have an automation because the TV faces a huge door, and I have an automation that stopped working, and I can't figure out why, because the blinds are still connected to Home Assistant, and I can control them from Home Assistant. But it's supposed to lower the blinds 50% just to the level of the couch whenever the TV turns on. Stop working. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And inside that, you can do a lot of it. You can do a lot to make it yourself easy. I use Node-RED to make subflows and don't repeat automations. When the house turns the lights on, but I don't want them on, and I want them off, that my house doesn't turn them back on 5 minutes later.
Interesting. I didn't know Node-RED could do that. I've never gotten into Node-RED. I feel like it's a little bit above my pay grade as a non-developer.
It's a feeling I get a lot when trying new stuff, but in the end, it's just a matter of trying to do it. And once you've gotten used to it, it doesn't appear to be so hard. It's just you got to pull through a little bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, then again, you've seen me try and get my Voron working with TAP and ERCF, so maybe better I don't.
And now it works.
And now they work. But look at me. Look at this. I didn't have all this before.
Okay. I can see some gray hairs.
Oh yeah.
Through.
Yeah, it's coming in, man. It's coming in. Sjon, let me ask, where can people support you, check out your work? Where should we send folks if they want to support your continued contributions to the community?
My GitHub has links. My Discord profile has links for the Buy Me a Coffee stuff.
Awesome.
And I think I'll put up my PayPal there as well.
Perfect. I think Leslie put stuff in the description, but if not, I'm going to do that now. And any parting notes before we wrap for the day?
Don't be afraid to try something new. I guess
Awesome.
that's the
good advice.
idea.
Sjon, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you powering through the internet difficulties and also everything you do to help myself and the community. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infill Podcast. For show notes or links to anything mentioned in today's episode, visit thenextlayer.com. If you enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave us a review wherever you're listening, or click the like button to let us know. And consider subscribing to The Next Layer on YouTube so you can tune in live and participate in the next conversation. We'll see you on The Next Layer.